All right, looks like we've got everybody here, so we'll go ahead and get started. This is a special called meeting on July 21st, 2020, 6 p.m., Rowan County Board of Commissioners. And just like every meeting, we'll begin as we typically do. We'll have a pledge, and then we'll have our solemnizing prayer brought to us by our chaplain. And so if we'll stand and get started, then we'll begin our meetings, okay? Chaplain Taylor, if you'll start for us. Randy, is he available?
I have asked him to unmute, but I'm not seeing anything at the moment. He might be having some difficulty. There we go.
I'm here.
All right, good. Welcome, and go ahead, Chaplain Taylor.
I thank you for the prayer we have tonight to pray on behalf of the county commissioners. Pray you'll bless them, give them the wisdom they need. Thank you for the dedication and love they have, Lord. Thank you for Rowan County. Be with us now. Direct this meeting tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. I think we'll get a flag up there. There we go. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Chaplain Taylor. Hope you're having a good week.
You're welcome. Thank y'all.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we've got a couple of items to add to the agenda. Aaron, did you send those to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Certainly. Okay, so we've got an item, approval of the July 2020 CRF report, and also directive on CRF reporting. So if we can add those as items 1A and 1B, I'd appreciate it. Do we have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
All right, motion from Craig, second from Judy. Thank you. And then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, then do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Craig motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Mike second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll move immediately to item 1 from County Manager Church. Manager Church, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item on the agenda is to ask the board to clarify the use of architect funds through the CRF grant. So initially, the board agreed in our initial plan to provide architectural services to each municipality. That was the first CRF plan. That was also before the second legislation passed that required us to give money to each municipality. So after we were required to give money to each municipality, as you all know, in the last meeting, the board developed a distribution method, and that distribution method was presented to the municipalities, and we had a meeting with the municipalities. The question came up in that meeting is the county still going to pay for the architectural services on top of the required 25% distribution from the CRF fund. So I'd like to ask the board to consider allowing the county to use the CRF funds to provide architectural services to the municipalities in the event that they would like to use the architectural services. Now, for any of the construction costs, they would be required to pay for that out of their distribution of the CRF funds. And that's basically all I have for this item. And I'd be glad to answer any questions the board has.
Mr. Chairman, if I might make a comment, we agreed to do that, the architectural fees, before we knew these other dollars were going to be distributed. I think we've been more than generous with what we've allocated to the municipalities, and I think they should pay their own architectural fees. I don't think the county needs to pay that on top of the distribution that we gave them too. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
How much money are we talking about?
That's we don't know.
Yeah, the contract that was approved with Pete Bogle didn't exceed $100,000, and that was to provide architectural services to the county, for the courthouse, and for the municipality. So, you know, I mean, I could go through and calculate what percentage that would be, or we could ask, you know, if the board wants the municipalities to pay for the architectural services, you know, for each hour that the architect provides services, we can keep track of that and then bill the municipality for those services, or the municipality could utilize their own architect.
I mean, I understand, I understand both sides of that issue, Craig. I get it. We were going to pay it before. You know, the county's taken the lead on all of this from the outset, and tried to help out the municipalities through staff leadership, through management leadership. I know we've helped them purchase items at cheaper costs. We've absorbed that as well. I just think it's an unusual time. I think we've got some smaller communities that are just having a tough time of it. That's why we had that issue last week where we tried to help out some of the smaller communities with big demands. So, you know, I'll do what the majority wants. I think I'd rather us go ahead and help them out. I think that'd be a good thing for us to do. This is just an unusual time, and I think this would help the communities that we have committed to working with. If the rest of the board doesn't think we ought to do that, that's fine with me. I'd rather us help them.
I agree with you, Mr. Chairman, and I would support helping them.
I get both sides. I do.
So what, for Jim's original question, I mean, you're saying $100,000 was how much was budgeted before, or we're not to exceed $100,000 for everything?
Was it not to exceed?
Yeah, Aaron, you're muted, Aaron. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how much was budgeted initially for it. I can pull up the exact amount that was estimated. It will take me a few minutes.
But Aaron, wasn't the language not to exceed 100,000?
No, I think the actual contract with Pete Bogle was was around 96 or 97,000. Leslie,
Okay.
do you recall the exact amount or? $97,180.
That was for all 10 municipalities.
That was for, no, that was for the courthouse, all county buildings, and municipalities.
Yeah, it's everybody.
So the municipality, Randy, I'm gonna email something to you if you can share it.
Okay.
Hold on one second. It's not the AIA document. It's the first PDF in the email. Yeah, so this is the estimated. If you could go up a little bit more to the top, Randy. The maximum price for the project, and this kind of shows an estimated breakout of how the dollars will be spent based on hours and hourly rate. And when you come down to municipality, there's 2,400 and then 3,000. Now, when you get into the schematic design, that I don't believe is necessarily broken out, because at the time all the money was going to come from the county.
So if you estimate what percentage of this is county and what percentage of those dollars are, I mean, I see the two there for 5,400 that would be municipalities, but the other part you said it's all kind of together.
Yeah, it was, but now we don't know, because we don't know how many municipalities are going to want to use the architectural services. Since now we're mandated to provide the money to the municipalities, and the municipalities will receive their own money and they have to come up with their own plan. We don't know how many of those will include in their plan using the architectural service. I am aware of 2 that do want to.
Well, Aaron, what I'm looking at on this report, if you'll read down through it, it says general schematic design, an average of 2 hours per site. So you're talking about $160. I mean, that's what you're talking about per municipality, because it says 2 hours per site at $80 an hour.
Yeah, but that was estimated. I think some of the municipalities have more sites than others.
And I agree with that. And that's why I say that they should pay their proportionate share out of their monies, because the city of Salisbury is going to have a lot more sites than Granite Quarry is going to, or Spencer or East Spencer. Judy, don't shake your head at me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just.
I'm just talking.
I apologize. I apologize.
If y'all want to pass it. I'm just making my opinion known. That's all.
Well, Craig, are you is one of your issues, that we're gonna get a huge bill that all of a sudden they want to do a bunch of work that we didn't plan for?
Well, that's kind of
Which
what
I
I'm
can see that.
concerned about, is because now that they have their own checkbook, so to speak, then they can determine from that what it is they want to do. You know, this was going to be a very limited scope of work based on what I'm seeing here. And we don't know what they're going to end up wanting, all the things they're going to do. And I don't like not having the control over those dollars when that happens.
I think that makes,
I'm okay with leaving it that minus the 100,000 minus whatever the county pays, whatever's left over, I'm happy to give that to them and they can divide it up evenly or ever how proportionally it works out. But I just don't like having them with their own money and then us stepping up to do this architectural work without having it defined. That's all.
that's kind of what I was wondering is, are we able to pass this and then they pay for whatever's above what we've already agreed to? I guess that's my confusion, is that we're approving something we don't know how much it's going to cost in the future.
And that's my point exactly.
Aaron, I thought that the contract that Pete gave us was for 97,000. So doesn't he have to stick to that even with servicing all the municipalities?
Well, the contract, the maximum fee is 97,180. So, you know, he can't go over that.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, I mean, you know, when the board approved this, we were dealing with a different set of rules than we are now. And
we were having to control everything.
Yeah, and I should have brought this up at the last meeting, but I didn't. So I take responsibility for that. So basically the board has approved it. And then when you approved the 25% distribution, when you voted to do that, you pretty much said, you know, 25% of the total 5.3 million, approximately 5.3 million, is going to be distributed to the municipalities, you know, as such, and that's the distribution method you've voted on. So the issue with that is whether or not that distribution includes this, or this is aside from that. But I don't believe I have the authority to provide the municipalities anything over the 25% you voted on, unless the board says it's okay to use architectural services within the prior, with the previous approved contract, because we had already agreed to do it. But again, keep in mind, we didn't know the rules at that time, and we didn't know that we would be required to give the municipalities 25%.
Why don't we do this? Why don't you and Leslie determine from this spreadsheet what part of the 97,000 is the counties and what part is the municipalities, and then just tell them that they have, I think maybe this is what Craig is saying, tell them they have up to, let's say ours is 40,000 of that. So that would leave 57,000 left, and tell the municipalities that they have a pro rata share of that 57,000 based on population. We already agreed to distribute that 97,000. So pull ours out of that. I think I moved a little bit based on what Craig has said, because what we don't want is that number go for, we've committed to 97,000. I don't think we have a problem doing that. But now what if that number explodes to 297,000? You know, are we going to be on the hook? And are all of the municipalities using Pete? Are some of them going to go outside and get their own architects, which we have no control over? So, I mean, is that something you were thinking about? Is that what you were talking about, Craig? Maybe,
Well, what I was saying is when Aaron made the presentation, he said that, you know, they would be able to go get their own architect. Well, we all know that, you know, Pete does a great job for the county. We can depend on him to do what he needs to, and he's presented the numbers. But, you know, what's to prevent, I'm not picking on any municipality, what's to prevent Spencer from saying, well, we got our own guy, he wants $25,000 to design this stuff. Now, where are we? We've agreed to give it to him.
yeah.
So I'd like to have this cap at least, so that we know our exact monies that we're going to be having to make on capital outlay. And that way there'll be more fortuitous about somebody that's economical and not just hiring their buddy. You know how that works.
Yeah, I agree with Craig that let's pull out the county's part of that. Let's figure out what the balance is. And then I'd be in favor of making available up to each municipality's population share of that remaining money.
Yeah, I apologize, Craig. I thought what we were talking about is simply exactly the 97,000. I didn't think we were going to go above and beyond that, because I don't want to have them have an open checkbook either.
Well, my thing, Commissioner Klusman, is if they want to spend more than that for their architectural fees, then they can take it out of their share that we're distributing to them.
Absolutely.
If they decide they want to come in and revamp the whole interior of the office space to make it COVID acceptable, you know, then that's on them.
Yeah.
I just don't want the county to be on the hook for it.
Yeah, I agree.
So you want to make that in form of a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Mike and Jim, do you have anything you want to add? And I'll make a motion.
No, I'm good. The 97, I'm always for knowing exactly what we're going to spend. And I don't mind spending the 97,000, but I don't want an accounting nightmare, and I don't want somebody to, you know, go off and spend another $100,000 on some other issue that they think is part of this, and then we're tied up in some sort of screaming match at each other.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Aaron, is this not money that we are supposedly personally liable for also?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Now you're getting my point.
but
Mhm.
with the required, what was required to be given to the municipalities, the 25%, as I understand it, since you're required to give it to them, they are responsible.
Yeah, but
That's
I'm this initial 100,000 here, we are responsible for it. Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because this is a contract the board approved.
right, correct.
And so let me just make sure I understand. Well, I think what the board wants to do is to say that any architectural services that the municipality would like to utilize, whether it be from Pete Vogel or another firm, they will need to pay for it out of their 25%.
That's not what we said.
Okay.
We have a total budgeted amount for architect of $97,180. We'd like you and Leslie to pull to determine how much of that is county, how much of that is municipality, and for example purposes only, if the county's portion of that is $40,000, that would leave $50,180 left that we would have been spending anyway on the municipalities, and each municipality would get their share of that based on population. Does that make sense? And I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Mike, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much.
So just
All right.
one question, Mr. Chairman, for clarification. That means it is possible that their distribution could exceed
They're 25%.
their 25%.
Yeah, this is in addition to the 25%.
It'd be 26 point, what, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, item 1A, approval of the July 2020 CRF report. We're doing this because we said when we approved this initially, we'd like to see a monthly report. This is the July report. You look on page 3, the bottom right column, it says total expenditures. So far have been $100,328.45. So what we're asking to do is for the commissioners to approve the CRF report and authorize the finance department to submit the report to the state. I'm okay with that. I think unless I don't see it on here, I think maybe below all of that from now on, maybe we could just have a statement from finance that all receipts that were received and paid, all bills that were received and paid were COVID related and meet the requirements of the CRF legislation. Would that be okay? Can we ask for that?
Yeah.
Aaron?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the July CRF report?
So moved.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 And
Thank
then item B is a directive on the CRF reporting. This is, we're kind of stepping back in time here, but the minutes of the May 27th, 2020 special meeting state, by consensus, the commissioners agreed to have a report in each agenda packet for approval before request for process for payment. And what they're asking us to consider is amending the minutes by making the following motion: direct the staff to present the CRF report once a month to the Board of Commissioners for approval. I suppose that's because we have meetings twice a month, and these would just be monthly reports. Is that the purpose of this, Aaron?
Yes, sir. And just kind of asking the board to clarify the direction. At the time, there was a lot of uncertainty. But for example, the word payment, the report you just approved, some of those, the invoice date dated back to March before you had approved it. So you're really approving
Payments that have already been made.
Yeah, so you're really approving, because the board doesn't approve every purchase that's made in the county. We have a purchase order system. Really what you're approving is looking at the expenditures we've made and authorizing us to make a reimbursement request for that. That's what you're approving. So, and that will be in each report each month.
So we're not necessarily amending the minutes.
No, that's probably not the best way for me to do it in that.
Yeah, we're changing our request of the finance department and asking them to direct staff to present the CRF report once a month to the Board of Commissioners for review.
Right.
All right, well, I'll make that motion that we,
Are the checks going to be written before they come to us if we do it once a month?
Yes, they would be.
They would be written beforehand.
They would be, and if you wanted to see a copy of the invoices and or checks, we can provide that. But yes, we were thinking we would keep the same process that we keep for every other grant, which is invoices come in and we pay, and then for most grants, they're reimbursement basis. So when you are actually reporting, that is when you receive the funds. With the CRF funds, we actually received, a lump sum of $2,561,000. But now we have to report as we make expenditures. That's what we're asking. You could say you don't want it on the report, but if emergency services or the health department needs PPE, we don't want to hold invoices waiting for the next commissioner meeting in order to pay those to bring them in-house.
Yeah, I don't think we want to get ourselves in the position of approving
Invoices.
the invoices before they're paid. I think what we were wanting is just to see how that money is being spent, so that we're comfortable with our commitment as commissioners.
Well, that's the rub. If we're personally responsible for it, we don't see it until after the check's written.
Yeah.
Well, I think the way that I'm looking at it, and you are welcome to disagree, is that department directors, the finance department, Aaron, if things are coming from him, we're not cutting checks for things that are unnecessary. So it would be the same process that we always go through. It would be, if you want to see all the invoices, we can send that to you. I think that Aaron sent you all the invoices that are associated with this in an earlier email one last week. But we can do that. And if there's something in there that you think is questionable, one, I would hope that's not the case, because we shouldn't be putting something before you that you would think would be questionable. But we can pull that from the reporting process. That's how I'm looking at it in finance. I just, we cut 500 checks a week, and that doesn't include all the funds that are transferred electronically. So I know not that many go through this, but that's the way I'm looking at it, is to make sure that we're making payments timely. But we'll do whatever the board would like.
Jim, did you have a chance to look at the spreadsheet that Aaron sent us?
Yes.
This one right here?
Yep.
I'm comfortable with just having that, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, if we get that, I'm happy with that, so that we'd have a chance to go over it. But this is a different ball game when they hold us personally responsible for it, and and it's not just my money, but it's all of us being responsible for this thing, and I just don't want us to have one bad apple somewhere to cause an issue. And if they're, if you're going to send us a spreadsheet like you did, I'm pretty comfortable with that. And you've got an invoice that goes along with it. That's about as good as we can do.
Yep.
That is what you would receive. You would receive the same type of spreadsheet outlining the expenditures once a month for your approval.
Good.
I'd be satisfied with that.
Could you do me a favor and make the print a little bit bigger so us blind people?
Yes.
Some of us understand that better than others.
Okay, all right. We'll work on that. We can do that.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll make the following motion: direct staff to present the CRF report once a month to the Board of Commissioners for approval.
Second.
All right. Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Let's see here. All right, I now move the board enter into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A5 to consider potential lease at Mid-Carolina Regional Airport. So you'll leave your, I've got a laptop and a cell phone, so just leave your Zoom meeting up if you can do that. If you've only got one device, then shoot over to the conference call that we have, and then we'll come back to the Zoom meeting and adjourn. Okay.
Carolyn, can you text me that number I need to dial, please? Because I'll have to shut down my Zoom if I do try to find it.
I'll do it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send me one too.
Okay. Everybody back on? Man, you guys are getting good at this.
Judy's still muted.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, make a motion that we come out of closed session.
Right.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 The county has been approached by a company called Heli One regarding a corporate hangar and office space lease agreement. Commissioners have discussed and we've agreed in principle on following proposal for a one-year lease for hangarage and office facility at Mid-Carolina Regional Airport. The offer is $10,000 rent per month for a one-year minimum with options. We'll provide them with options to extend. The lease will be reviewed by Heli One and the airport in 9 months to discuss renewal for a one-year term. They're asking for immediate possession, if possible. The aircraft base and tax revenue on the airport value Ascent and Heli One operate a fleet of helicopters. They are transient based on work available. They'll maintain a minimum taxable value on January 1st, 2021 in Rowan County of $7 million aircraft tax value purposes for aircraft based at Mid-Carolina Regional Airport. Regarding fuel, we estimate their fuel usage from the airport will be approximately 1,000 gallons per month. If they don't use at least 500 a month, they'll pay a $2 per gallon for fuel not used up to 500 gallons. For example, if they only use 400 gallons, they would pay $2 per gallon for an additional 100 gallons. And so that's what the negotiated offer is. Appreciate Valerie from our director at Mid-Carolina Regional Airport for working on this along with Aaron Church and Jay. And so I'll make this in the form of a motion that we give Aaron the authority to put this on paper and present it and then bring back to us in our first meeting in August for final approval.
Second.
Jay, is that good? Jay? Aaron? Anyone?
I'm here.
All right. Does that work for y'all?
Yes, sir.
That works.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 All right, everyone be well. Thank you.
You too. Bye.